which can kind of also be seen on RSI, but I think RSI is a better indicator of it. Yeah, so whenever you guys are like, oh, what's a margin call? That's what it looks like. Now, does another margin get called on BBBY? I don't know. Maybe. Right? And then if another one comes in, this is going to go up. If not, then this is just going to trend back down. Like if this crosses below VWAP, then it's probably like that like price action is over. So we'll see. Like and kind of like you can see how many positions are short on the stock, right? That way in the early stages. Later on, um like when bigger margins get called, you won't be able, it'll just run. I wish my chart looked like yours. I mean, I just have the standard chart set to black with Henk and Ashi candles on. That's all I have going here. Nothing special. I wouldn't really call this a bull flag, guys. Like, this consolidation can break up. It looks like there's some volatility. Why are we calling that BBBY action margin call? Well, unless somebody wanted to buy, let's see. Well, first of all, the market order, they're occurring at market price, right? First of all these buy orders are at market price. Second of all, like so these are all market orders. These aren't limit sells, right? Because the price movement would stagnate if it was limits. So you would have like up and then sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, right? But because they're all at market, it's an exponential curve. So that means the buy button's just getting smashed. It's getting smashed again, by the way. And so like that's one thing we can tell from that, right? And then another thing that we can tell that makes this margin call is that the volume's increasing, right? So like as the price goes up, so does the panic to cover. And so like panic price. And so those go up together. And so the higher the price goes, the more people try to cover at a lower price. If you had some ANC, when would you sell it to buy more GME? I don't know. Maybe maybe the hedge funds like fuck up and AMC finishes its squeeze before GME rockets. That would put them in a terrible position. Like if GME's still at like 300 and AMC squeezes to like 80 and tanks, like a lot of money is going to flow from that into GME. What indicators might have forewarned you? None. Like maybe cloud would show a crossover. No, none. Like cloud should have crossed over to the downside here, and then so that doesn't work. Keltner, Bollinger. I guess yeah, Keltner, Bollinger. So remember how we had that big consolidation period? So like BBKC squeeze shows it because you had this period here, right? And then it exploded out. That's how you can tell Jimmy's price is suppressed also. because like our BBKC broke to the upside, but it hasn't expanded properly. So it's like it's being like stifled. Our RSI, MACD, any use during the squeeze? RSI is. I mean, MACD doesn't really do anything there. Drill to illustrate the short squeeze on BBBY and your next DD. This is really helpful to see illustrated, and I think others might find it helpful. I might, yeah. I might like scroll back to it and cover it. Like next Sundays, I could probably do it. So no catalyst for this, and someone got margin called. That's the catalyst. And I'm not taking a break from GMA. We're just covering like the squeeze on another stock, Austin. But yeah, I mean, I think we're at least in the early stages of MOASS. I think it's going to continue. How can one use RSI during the squeeze? It's really simple. RSI, like, so the 6 will move up and then the 14 will follow, and it'll just be like this, like all above overbought, right? And then eventually it'll start to come back down, and that'll be like a signal that like whoever's covering during that period is slowing down. Like the buy pressure is letting off, and that'll be an indicator that like a wedge is coming up. And then obviously a dip into oversold would mean that the price is going to drop, and then if it comes back up into overbought, then the price is probably going to keep going up. AMC shareholder record date is today. So maybe they're just covering to like ensure that they don't get popped naked shorting. That's a possibility. Hey, are you a cup and handle guy? Are we forming one from early March on? I'm not a big cup and handle guy, but yes, there is a cup and handle. So if you go out to the weekly, from like, hold on. So I have this in log, so I gotta zoom in. If you go out to the weekly, let me expand that a little bit. Let me get rid of RSI here for a second so we can see better. So there we go. So if you look here, this is January. And there's the cup. There's the handle. There's the breakout. So, I mean, yeah, it's an accurate cup and handle. There's a lot of other indicators that are more reliable that are signaling the breakout or signaled the breakout in the past. So, I mean, but yeah, there's also a cup and handle there. Jimmy's in a very unique position in that like almost every bullish indicator has fired on it recently. These Frank Gnocchi candles are my favorites. I'm in the desktop WeBull and can't get them to show on the same chart. I don't know. I just turn them on and they both pop up. They're like essentially the same. You don't need both. Sorry, I mean all this infotainment. Exactly. Where's the spout? It's not a teapot. Yeah, cup and handles are actually usually that big. Cup and handles form over 3 to 6 months. Tits jacked. Not bought you a beer for a few weeks. Here you are. Just wanted to say heartfelt thanks before we all go Zarek. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. We're not there yet, though. We got some time to hang out. But thank you so much for the donation. As always, I give this shit out for free. But the donations are greatly appreciated. The triangle set to stop at 37 and a limit at 36.50. So, oh, you're talking about like, so what I would have done on this one, right? Like when I got that red candle, let's see, I would have set a stop at 35. So here at 35.54 would have been my stop. And then I've had like a limit at like, I mean, I expect Jimmy would be way more volatile. So I'd have had my limit down here at like 33, right? So 35.54, 33. And then if it had dipped, which it didn't, right? So it broke to the upside. If it had hit that, my limit would have filled in here. And then on this one, same thing. I would have set a stop here, which would have filled at, what is that, like 37.80, somewhere around there. And then I would have set like a limit at like 35. And then that would have filled as the price came down. So this never would have filled. And this would have filled. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beauty of it. So I didn't lose. So I, like in this situation, I would not have lost any shares before the stock ran up. I hope that makes sense to all of you. So like, say I was planning on selling 10% of my position on this wedge, I wouldn't have sold it to here, and I would have realized like 15% gains on that 10% position. Whereas if I'd used like a market order or something here, right, or even a limit order, I would have lost 10% of my position at a lower price point. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna break through 260. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with chat, but it's going quick, and I'm trying to explain things. So if I missed your question, try to ask it again, and hopefully I won't miss it a second time. Even Palantir going up. Palantir is pretty short, too. If you post